Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining today on our Speedcast session. I truly appreciate it. I am very excited. Today's guest has been a total, complete badass on this season's DC Stargirl. He has just been killing it, you guys. Literally, he's been killing it. I'm very excited. He is none other than Neil Hopkins, aka Sportsmaster. So let's go ahead and let's get him to join. So once again, thank you so much, you guys, for joining today's Speedcast interview session. I truly appreciate it. So let's get Neil on the line. Let's get Neil on the call right now. So give me one moment. Here we go. Neil.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thank you so much for joining me on this Speedcast interview session today. I truly appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you saw my intro, but you've been a complete, total badass this season on Girl, man. You've been literally and figuratively, you've been killing it on that on the series, man.
Wow.
Congratulations on your success
Thank
and the
you.
way you've embodied this character, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'm happy that the characters sort of resonated with fans. It's exciting to see, because I don't have a ton of screen time, but I feel like the scenes that I have, make the maximum impact they could possibly make.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, when you think about Sportsmaster and you see the character in the Golden Age comics and you see him, in Young Justice, you've always wondered how is that going to transition to the cinematic world, right? And the way that you've done that transition, I mean, your portrayal is pretty much on point, man. I mean, that's how I imagine Sportsmaster to be. I mean, did you do any research or what did you do to prepare for that? Because man, you are on point with this character.
Um, well, I worked out a lot to try to, in the time that I had, which wasn't much, to get into the best shape I could. I worked a lot physically with the bat, and I read about Sportsmaster initially when I got the part because I'd never heard of Sportsmaster, but it was all on the page. I mean, Jeff Johns' version of Sportsmaster is different than the other versions. It's similar, but it's his own take. So it was more important for me to be faithful to what he was writing because he was creating a new version of Sportsmaster that he liked what I did in the audition and he didn't want me to change it. So, I've said this before, but sometimes you really have to reach for a part and you have to do a lot of work and research and stuff. And sometimes it's a layup. And this was one where it was so crystal clear on the page what he wanted. So it was easy for me to inhabit the role because it was just very clear who this guy was that he had written.
Yeah, and it's just amazing. Jeff Johns has a history of taking those characters, those like iconic comic book characters, and transitioning them over, like Aquaman and such. But I mean, I just can't imagine anyone else playing this role but you. You are so menacing, dude. I mean, and I mean that with all due respect. I mean, you are menacing. You're awesome. I don't know if you've seen my page, but I love I kind of side a little bit with the bad guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Well,
are a
you're
psycho.
not alone. The cool thing that Jeff has done with this show is he's given more screen time and more backstory and more life and private moments with the bad guys as than most other shows do. Usually villains are reserved for a scene here, scene there, usually very little backstory except maybe an origin story. But we've already you don't see our origin stories in this. You see, in terms of the ISA, we've already been villains for decades. So, you know, you do see our private lives, you see our family lives, you see our kids, you see all that kind of stuff. And that's such a cool thing because he has taken the time to develop these characters as much as you can develop a character, you know, as much as you can develop characters when there's like 30 characters. The result has been, which I think was his intention, that a lot of people really like the ISA. And especially in episode 12, when you find out that our whole manifesto for Project New America is like universal health care and, you know, elimination of, environmental pollution and racial discrimination and all these things, it creates a real conflict for the audience to be, and for the JSA to be like, wait a sec, you know, like Our Man has that line where he's like, are you sure we're on the right side? And I love that. I love that. Like, our methods are brutal and our methods are very villainous, but what we're trying to bring about is we're not trying to like enslave everybody to a life of toil. We're actually trying to make the world better. You know, it's kind of like Thanos, I guess, you know, where like the whole, the philosophy behind the destruction and the mayhem is actually quite appealing. So all the credit goes to Jeff, really, because he's created these villains that are likable, and some more likable than others, but you know, they're very flawed characters, and they have all the aspects of villainy that most shows have, but you get to see that they're loving parents, and that, you know, they're actually trying to make the world a better place. They're just going about it in a wrong way.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, your backstories and showing you guys as parents, you know, you mentioned that, and that's a different aspect of the villains, right? I mean, people usually don't see that, but I mean, you guys have done such a great job in terms of the way this thing has been shot. I mean, you know, edited, and the CGI. I mean, kudos to the entire staff. I mean, to the cast and crew. You know, I was telling your colleagues that this doesn't feel like a series, dude. This feels like a 13-part movie in terms of the scale. You know, what do you think about that? I mean, a lot of people have been giving you guys great reviews, man. You guys got like a 91% fresh.
Yeah.
Rotten Tomato, you know, you guys are certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which is very hard to do, man.
I know.
And
there's always at least a handful of haters, but no, they've been very kind to us. You know, again, this is Jeff Johns. You know, he's been planning this for years, because of the leverage that he has in the position of power that he has now in his career. He was able to do this the right way, which was, you know, it had the budget that it needed to have. And he was able to, like you said, kind of make it unfold like a movie almost, over 13 episodes. So that was always his intention. He always wanted this to be a series. I mean, he's wanted to make this for 20 years, but, you know, the time wasn't right. He didn't want to give it short shrift. He didn't want to do it years ago when he wouldn't have had the budget or whatever. So he got the budget that he needed to make the show that you watch, and I think that was the right way to do it. And you know, it's all you know, Jeff and the fact that he has you know, put so much of his heart and soul into it, and gotten to such a position where he could make a show like this.
Yeah, and thank you for that. Did you, when you were reading for this part, did you understand? You probably do, because you know, you've been on Lost and you know the fandom that's out there. But when you were reading for this role and you said, "Oh my God, this is a DC part," did you realize the fandom that you were about to get into in regards to, you know, I mean, because comic book fans are very critical, and
Oh yeah,
they're either gonna love it or they're gonna hate it.
yeah.
And so far, this has been amazing, man. Let me just tell you. This has been the best DC adaptation, in my opinion, since the beginning of the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
So, were you ready? Like, when you were going into this read, were you thinking on the back of your mind, "Hey, man, if I get this role, am I ready for the fandom?"
Definitely. I mean, we're all aware of it. It's not new. You know, this Stargirl's not like starting a new trend or anything. this is, you know, a well-trod path at this point, in terms of, you know, the Greg Berlanti shows, the DC shows, the CW shows. There's been several. So every actor knows the value of it. And, you know, I didn't know I was reading for a supervillain. I didn't know I was reading for Sportsmaster. I just knew it was, you know, a role on a Greg Berlanti show. And anytime you get something like that, you're like, oh, this is a great opportunity. So when I got the offer, and I saw that the character was a supervillain, one that I'd never heard of, by the way. I didn't know who Sportsmaster was. I haven't been a comic book collector since I was like 12 years old. So I haven't been in the loop. I mean, I've seen The Flash, I've seen Arrow, I've seen all the Marvel movies, you know, so I know what's up in terms of the adaptations, but in terms of things that have yet to be adapted, I didn't know. I'd never heard of Stargirl. I missed that boat. So, yeah, even though I didn't know what it was, I knew it was a Greg Berlanti show. I knew it was going to be it was a DC show. So yeah, that has enormous value. And yeah, I am aware of the fan base. Everybody is, I think. You know, if you're going to, I was on Lost, and even though Lost was pre-Instagram and even kind of pre-Facebook, it didn't have that impact that something like this has. But anytime you're on a fantasy, sci-fi, or comic book show, you know that there's a good opportunity to get dialed into a fan base that is very enthusiastic, can be very critical, but also has been, in this case, incredibly supportive. And it's wonderful. I love it.
I mean, yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you guys have been amazing. You guys have been killing it. And, you know, I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for the whole ISA cast. I'm happy for everybody. But, you know, you and Eric and Neil Jackson, you guys are pretty much veterans of the business. And, you know, I hate to say this, but some of the bigger, you know, roles out there, like Batman per se, you know, some, and I'm not going to say any names, but some folks, you know, it's almost like a burden, or the cowl is too heavy and there's too much expectation.
Yeah.
And all of you guys have relished it, dude. You guys have relished the moment. You guys are like, you know, it looks like you guys are having genuine fun. It looks like you guys are, you know, taking these characters and making them your own, and people are loving that about you guys. You guys are, you know, when you guys did the takeover the other day on the Stargirl account, the official Instagram account, you guys were like having some fun, man. You guys, you know, you were doing your Al Pacino and everything.
Yeah,
Can you talk?
You know, I think anybody that's been watching any of our CW chats or anything like that, we lucked out. You know, we lucked out for several reasons. Number one, you talked about the burden. Well, you know, many of these characters are being embodied for the first time. And that's one of the cool things about this. It's like, it's not like playing the Joker or playing Batman, or where you have all these other stellar performers to compare to, you know, and that is a big burden, and not a fun one for an actor to take on. So this was a different sort of situation where, you know, Jeff is sort of the king of reinventing these old characters, you know, that maybe aren't, like, you know, when you look at Shazam or Aquaman or Wonder Woman, and now all these villains and heroes in Stargirl, the JSA and the ISA, you know, that's like his niche, is that, you know, he takes these older characters that he's been a fan of for years, but that haven't gotten the attention that they probably deserve, and he's now invented them. So we didn't feel an enormous burden to live up to anything, because there wasn't really anything to live up to, you know, which was very freeing. And especially, you know, Sportsmaster obviously has been on Young Justice, and has been on Batman, the Bold and the Brave or something. And, you know, he's had a couple of cartoon incarnations in addition to all the comic books he's appeared in, but no one's ever played him before. So I wasn't like trying to compete with someone else's version of Sportsmaster. I was originating the role in terms of live action. So yeah. I didn't feel an onus to, you know, obviously you want to do the best job you can. And there's a lot of people who, you know, love Young Justice version of Sportsmaster, and probably, you know, or maybe were disappointed in this version because it's different. But, you know, you're never going to please everybody in any role, in particular in this world. You know, people are very locked into what they like about a certain version of a character. But you have to stay true to what the showrunner, in this case Jeff, wants, and what what your instincts are that got you the part in the first place. And I think we've done that, and we've lucked out. We've been cast with a lot of really great people, and it's been a lot of fun.
Dude, you and Joy have been killing it, man. Let
Thank
me
you.
tell you, I mean, you are what I always imagined Sportsmaster to be.
Thanks.
Dude, when you bust out that bat, I mean, I've heard you talk about training with the bat. How many hours did you spend on work? I mean, I know it's an aluminum bat, correct? I mean,
Well, the bat
how did you train
the
for
bat
that?
that I was using was a prop bat, actually. It was like a padded. Uh, it has a similar weight to an aluminum bat, but you can't be swinging an aluminum bat around on a set. It's just not safe. So the bat that I was using for the most part was a like a sort of a light prop bat. But being lighter actually makes it a little harder to work with. Like the more weight it has, the easier it is to twirl. When something's lighter, it's actually harder to it doesn't have as much weight to it, so it's more difficult to balance. So I spent as much time as I possibly could with it. Anyone that saw me on the set, anytime I was Sportsmaster or Croc and I had the bat, I was off to the side practicing with the bat and probably driving people crazy. But I wanted it to be as good as it could be, and I wanted it to look as natural as it could. And this is one of the marks of his character, is that that's his weapon of choice. So if it looks clumsy or if it looks burdensome, then it's not going to work. So I knew that one of the things I really had to work on was that. And so I worked on it as much as I possibly could. Probably not, it's never enough. You never feel like you have enough time to do anything, because especially in television, things move super fast. You shoot episodes in a week, you don't have as many takes as you would like. You don't have as much rehearsal, if any, that you would like. But so you have to do a lot of work, and you got to be ready to hit the ground running, and you got to be ready to, on the first take, you got to be ready to do everything, because you may not get a second take. So that's just how TV works.
You look like you have been handling that bat, I mean, for years. I don't know if you had even grabbed the bats. I don't know if you played Little League or not, but I don't know how many years it
I
had been
did.
since you grabbed it.
I wasn't very good, but that was many, many years ago. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I did as much as I could. My stunt double, Paul O'Connor, who was amazing, he showed me all the tricks that I was going to be doing, and some that I did that didn't end up in the show. And a lot of stuff got cut from this season, because originally it was written for DCU,
Yeah.
so the episodes were longer, and then they had to cut a chunk out of every single episode. So, I got cut out of 2 episodes. I had a scene with Luke Wilson in episode 10, and I had a scene with the ISA in our lair in episode 11, and I got cut. We all got cut from episode 11. So it was brutal. There was a lot of cutting. So a lot of the stuff we did that was on the bubble ended up getting snipped. So my role got smaller as the season went on, but I was really glad nothing got cut from episode 6 and episodes 12. Obviously, those are the ones that are most Tigers and Sportsmaster heavy.
I hope they release a Blu-ray with all those, with
I
all
hope
those
so
shots.
too, because I haven't seen any of them.
Your character, I mean, a lot of my followers were sending me messages, get Neil Hopkins, get Sportsmaster. You got to get Neil. They love your character so much. Every time we knew that you were going to be in the next episode here, in my household, we were very pumped. We were excited because you guys bring the action. And, I mean, like I said, you're so good at being menacing. So let's change gears a little bit. I know that this was shot in Georgia. I'm out here in LA. I believe you're also out here in LA, correct?
Yeah.
In the LA area in general.
Yeah.
It's become unfortunately, it's become very expensive to film out here. They tax us for everything, right? So, I mean, and understood,
Well,
we know
it's not
why,
so
but
much that, it's that it's become cheaper to film elsewhere. It's
yeah.
that these other states and areas have offered huge tax incentives to bring production. So it's not so much that it's become more expensive to shoot in LA, it's that it's become relatively less expensive to shoot in other states over the past 10 years. So, but yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I mean, everything shoots somewhere else now, and it's like you
Yeah.
move to LA because this is where the business is. But nowadays, the business isn't even here. I mean, the casting offices for the most part are all still out here. So, but so
Yeah.
much of casting now is done off tape anyway. So it does make you question why you need to live in LA. But,
It
I
does.
mean, I love LA, but it's I'm sure there are other wonderful places to live that well, we're considering maybe moving somewhere else, but because anymore everything is just cast off tape. I mean, the thing I did for Stargirl, I went into the casting office here in LA, but they just put me on tape, and then I never met Jeff until after I got cast. So that's the norm now.
How is that experience, Neil, in terms of filming out of state, filming in Georgia? Like Georgia's very hot right now.
Yeah,
Vancouver, Canada's very hot. Toronto, Canada's very hot.
yeah.
How is that experience? I know that it's humid down there. I know it could get humid. How was that?
I mean, I don't love it because I have a family. I got two kids, and we have a schedule here, and they have school, and they have all this. So it's a big disruption in our lives. Um, I don't love all the travel. I think I think I did 10 or 11 trips over the course of 6 or 7 months, to and from Atlanta. Atlanta's a really cool place. And I enjoyed working on the show, obviously, a lot. I loved all the people and the cast and crew. But I don't love having to go somewhere else to work. It's not ideal. I like working where I live. I like not having it be such a disrupt. When I was single, it was one thing. Like I got to go before I was married, got to go to Istanbul and shoot a movie. I got to go to Hawaii several times for Lost, and it's fun then. But when you have a family and you have kids in school, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely very hard being away from your family. That's understandable. I've had to do it a couple of times and I hate it.
Yeah.
Do you think? I know that a lot of actors would prefer for the job to be local here in LA. Do you see it ever coming back to the LA area? Do you ever see that? I mean, in the future, or do you
Stargirl?
think?
No.
Just in general, like all these
Who
production.
knows? I have no idea. I hope so, but I have
Hmm.
no idea. I can't say. It all depends on. It's the way I see it. It's sort of a race to the bottom. Um, these states, a lot of these states couldn't sustain it for a while. For a while, Michigan was doing a lot of incentives, and other states were trying to get into it. Ohio and it really is not sustainable because they're giving enormous tax cuts, and so
Yeah,
the trade-off is that you get this cachet of being a hotbed for TV and film production, and it has sort of a sexy appeal to it. But in the long run, unless you already have a pre-existing infrastructure set up like in Atlanta, because Atlanta has had production for decades, and Tyler Perry has his whole studio there. They've had, a lot of, Turner is down there. So Atlanta's had a lot of stuff going on for a while. So that made it more easy for it to become a real hub for a lot of production. New Orleans is similar, but there are states that had to drop out of it because it wasn't, in the long run, it was costing them money. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's ever going to even out. I don't know. That's beyond my pay grade, but it's fun if it's fun if it's a situation where you can bring your family. My kids got to come to set one time for Stargirl. They got to see the robot. They got to see me get hit by a huge wrench in episode 12. And
yeah.
and it's fun when you can bring your family because it's summer and they're out of school. But like I said, when you have a family, it's tough. So I hope it
Hey,
does come back, but I have no idea.
yeah. I would personally like to go to Vancouver one day and check out the setup there. And I just want to visit Vancouver in general because, Canada, I want to go up there and check everything out, check out the scene. I got to ask you, when you got into the business, was there a particular movie? Was there something that inspired you to get into the business? Was there a life-changing moment? Did you go to the theater and see something, or what inspired you to get into the business?
I was in high school. I was a huge. I got really into. I had a really great local video store, and I was always into film, and I was really into you know, these directors from the 70s, like, you know, Scorsese and Coppola and, you know, Robert Altman. I got into a lot of these, you know, sort of golden age of Hollywood cinema, or second golden age, as they call it, of Hollywood cinema directors. And I watched every film I could get my hands on. I loved Robert De Niro. I loved Al Pacino. I loved all of those, you know, Warren Beatty, all these great actors from the 70s who really, you know, who just sort of like turned the industry on its head. So that was always a big inspiration for me. And then when I was in high school, you know, Tarantino came about. And I was a huge Reservoir Dogs fan. I was a huge Pulp Fiction fan, although I always liked Reservoir Dogs more. But, you know, there was this sort of indie filmmaking thing came about in the mid 90s when I was in high school. And it was very exciting because it was this first time where you were like, because it's always such a mystery of like how films get made and how they do it and how do you break into the industry. But that time in Hollywood sort of democratized it a little bit, or it made it at least seem like it was easier to break in because they had all these independent films that were becoming big deals. And those were really inspiring to me. I used to make films with my friends I used to make short films with my friends when I was in high school on the weekends. So I was always really into not just acting, but into making movies. That was always from the very beginning what I wanted to do. Not just one aspect of the business, but actually creating, writing, you know, all that. I was inspired by Tarantino back in 1991. And, you know, it was like that was always my driving force. So that was what got me into this delusion that I could be a professional actor, you know, writer, director, all these things. And that delusion carried me to where I am now.
You know, that's great. You and I grew up around the same time. So I do remember the Blockbuster videos, renting movies. And, you know, when Reservoir Dog came out and also when Pulp Fiction came out, man, I fell in love with Tarantino as well. You know, don't you wish, Neil, that we had YouTube back then? Would have made it easier, right?
Yeah, I know. I know. I guess everything happens when it's supposed to happen. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm really glad that I went to school before social media. I can tell you that right now, because the stuff that kids have to deal with today with social media is just awful. I hate it.
Yeah,
so I'm
is.
grateful that I finished school in a pre social media sort of analog, you know, early digital, I guess, world, because it made that life a lot simpler and a lot easier by contrast to what it is now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Today's generation is never going to know how it felt to go to the library and check out encyclopedia books out to do your projects.
Yeah, exactly.
So I gotta ask, man. You mentioned you have a couple of kids, I believe.
Yeah.
Are your kids excited for when your action figure comes out?
Yeah, they love the show. I mean, this has been really fun for them to see. You know, I show them all like the fan art that people do on Instagram and the fan videos and all this stuff, and they love it. It's exciting, and you know, my wife and daughter were watching The Flash and Arrow, you know, obsessively before I ever even got cast in this. So they were already really, and we love the Marvel movies, so they were already very much plugged into that, you know, superhero world. So this is definitely really exciting. We get really excited because we prefer to watch them on DCU because it's commercial free and you get to see, you know, at least for the first few episodes, the longer versions. But the coolest part about it is that the DC intro that they have there, where they show Batman and Wonder Woman, and it's so cool. I get goosebumps every time, like just to think, oh my God, I'm a part of this world. And it's exciting for all of us to see that. So yeah, it's kind of awesome, man. I gotta say, it's the first show I've ever been on that my kids can watch.
That's awesome, man. I'm so happy for you. Like I said, I'm happy for all of you guys. You know, all your success. And I truly hope that we get some sort of spin-off for you guys.
Me too.
and we got to talk about, you know, non-disclosure agreements, you guys. We don't know what's happening in the next episode, or, you know, Neil has signed a non-disclosure agreement, so we can't fish for too much. But I think Ina just said she had a question for you on the comments, why you like killing so much. Uh, but I gotta ask you, would you be down for a spin-off of some sort? You know, Sportsmaster in the comics is notorious for faking his death. Sportsmaster is, you know, his arch nemesis is the Green Lantern. There's been talks about, you know, Ryan Reynolds coming, you know, reprising his role on the Snyder Cut and such. But would you be interested if they came to you and you said, hey, and they said, hey, Neil, we want to do a spin-off, sort of like Arrow, and we'll get a bunch of flashbacks included?
Of course. I mean, who wouldn't say yes to that? Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a long shot at this point, but who knows? You never know. I mean, yeah, of course. I want to do more Sportsmaster. I mean, you know, his screen time in the first season of Stargirl was fairly limited, so because there's just so many characters, you know. But I would love to do more, and no matter where it is. I mean, if the project is right, and yeah, I think Sportsmaster, if I'm not mistaken, first appeared in a Green Lantern comic in 1947, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they do, and I heard they were going to do a Green Lantern series. I thought I heard that.
Yeah, HBO Max, I believe, is going to do one.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah. So
that
hell yeah. I mean, I would love to do it. I think there's a lot more to there's a lot more to develop about this character. But he's just a fun character. I always love playing bad guys that are funny. You know what I mean? Like those are always the ones that really stick, I think. The bad guys that you love to hate, you know, and something I've seen on this show that's really cool, not just with my character, but with all the characters, is that, you know, I sort of alluding to this earlier, but like people don't know whether to root for the JSA or the ISA, which I love. You know, that's awesome. You know, because a lot of times villains are like, just kill him, get rid of him, kill him, you know, but a lot of people are like, I hope this person doesn't die. I hope Sportsmaster doesn't die. I hope Tigress doesn't die. And I love that. I love that. It's awesome.
Dude, there was a line that you said to Luke Wilson. There was a line that, you know, to Pat when you had him on the ground, and you know, spoilers if you guys haven't seen 12 yet, where you said, and this is how much I love your character, man. You said, "I'm glad I'm the one who's doing it."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But before you did that, you gave him this little wicked smile when you guys were, you know, when there was the dialogue scene right before that. Man, you just nailed that scene, man. Both of those scenes, you know, you built a relationship with Pat.
Yeah.
You wanted to improve his life, and when you told him, "Oh, I'm glad I'm the one who's doing it," can you talk a little bit about that scene?
I mean, that's just that Jeff Johns wrote that line, and it's a great line. It's like he's bummed that he feels betrayed by Pat. He thought they could have had a really good friendship. He thought they were buds, and he can't believe that this is the guy, you know, that was Starman's sidekick, and that he feels like a fool. You know, he's been lied to, so by omission. So he knows he has to do it. He wants to do it because he feels like he's got to get one over on Pat, because Pat got one over on him. That's how he sees it. So he knows he has to do it, and he likes killing if it's, you know, if he feels like it's justified, and it's always justified, whether it's a football coach or a security guard or a sidekick or a little kid that drills him in the back. He was definitely gonna kill Mike. There's no doubt about that. I mean, he doesn't care. He doesn't have a filter when it comes to morality or violence or anything like that. So he enjoys it. It's part of you know, the way I see it is Sportsmaster and Tigress love the thrill of the violence, and they love winning, and that's why they're on the ISA, because we're the winning team. And I don't think they're as ideological as Icicle and Brainwave are in terms of changing the world. I just think they want to be along for the ride, and they want to be able to kill with impunity, and they want to be able to win. It's all about winning. Yeah. So, you know, it's, again, that's all Jeff as it was written. And it just resonated with me the moment I saw the audition size. I knew exactly what he wanted and who this guy was. And I'm just so happy I got a chance to do it.
You know, it was such awesome work, man. Totally
Thank
awesome
you.
work. And, your characters, when I look at both, you and Joy's character, I always think that you're living in Blue Valley, but when you go on vacation, you go to like a biker bar in Sturgis to pick fights. That's your vacation.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like anywhere they can find a fight, they'll gladly take it. I mean, I don't think it was necessary to murder several football coaches, but they did it, and they don't feel the least bit bad about it. So yeah, that's what happens when you coop them up in these double lives for 10 years. When you take two people like that, it's like taking a Green Beret and they're in Afghanistan for 10 years and they're seeing action every single day and they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're doing what they trained for. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you got to go home and you got to live a normal life and you have to go grocery shopping and change diapers and all this kind of stuff. They're just going crazy. And that's how I see
Yeah,
Sportsmaster and Tigers before Stargirl comes into town. And I think they're just thrilled that they get to actually get back in action again, because they probably
yeah.
were thinking this is never going to happen again.
I mean, you're one of the luckiest guys. You've worked with J.J. Abrams, and now you've worked with Jeff Johns.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You could put that. I mean, how many actors out there could put that on their resume, man? Not many.
Not a whole lot,
Um,
yeah.
are you looking forward? And it sucks that we're going through this pandemic right now, but are you looking forward to seeing, cosplayers out there cosplay your version of
Of
Sportsmaster
course.
and San Diego Comic Con or Dragon Con or LA Comic Con? Are you
Of
looking
course.
forward to that? To all
Oh
those?
yeah, man. I can't wait for all that shit. I mean, pardon my French. It's
No, no, you're
that's one
good,
of the
man.
fun
You're good.
things about getting a job like this is that there's the show itself and then there's all the ancillary stuff and the fandom that I love. Fan videos, fan art, cosplay, all that kind of stuff, conventions, all that stuff. I love that stuff. I was a big fanboy when I was a kid. That was before any of, social media or anything like that, but I loved comic books and I would get obsessed with certain things. And it was all I would ever think about. When Batman came out in 1989, I was just obsessed with it. And when Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns came out, I was obsessed with it. I bought it and I would sit there for hours and copy all the art. I wanted to be a cartoonist back then. And, so I get it. I'm one of those obsessive people. When I get into something, I get really, really into it. So I love it.
And that's what makes you so cool, dude. Seriously, I mean, you embrace it, and like I said, you're totally killing this character. You are Sportsmaster in my eyes. I can't see anyone else doing it. And if they ever put it in film, I hope they cross you over and
They
use
won't.
you.
They always recast it when they make films. Yeah, that's the bummer. But that's the TV and the film world. They keep pretty separate. I find in terms of like the Justice League and the Flash. They have two different versions of the Flash. Which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. I hope there's more Sportsmaster in whatever form they can do. And, I'm excited. I want to develop that character more and be able to see more sides of him. I mean, there's only really a couple sides of him, but I want to see more.
We all do, man. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Every time you come on, we're so excited. Everyone's excited. All my buddies message me and they're like, "Hey, he's gonna be on the next episode, man. We got and we just can't wait for every single episode. As soon as we get 13 this week, I'm gonna binge it all over again, man, because
Awesome.
it's so good,
Yeah,
so
it is
good.
good. It's cool just to not only to be in a show that my kids can watch, but I was talking to Neil Jackson about this, like to actually be on a show that you like. Because there's a lot of shows that actors do that you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to watch that. A lot, most of them. And so it's very rare that you get to be on a show. Like that's my goal as an actor is I want to be on stuff I like. I want to be on stuff I would watch. And Stargirl isn't something I would have watched if I hadn't been on it because it's I think skews a little younger, but I definitely enjoy the show. I like watching it genuinely, especially with my family. So when you get a chance to be on something that's good and something that is like you're proud to be on and be like, you guys got to check this out. It's so much the better, because it's like a
Yeah.
double reward. You didn't just get paid to do it. You actually get to watch it and enjoy it.
And you know, I asked your colleagues this question, and I know that you do sing. Correct, Neil? You're a singer.
I
You
do,
also
yeah,
sing.
yeah. I'm a singer, I'm a musician, yeah, yeah.
So, would you be down for a musical? You know, The Flash had one. They had, you know, Darren Criss on there, and Supergirl had one. Would you be down for some sort of crossover where you get to use your chops, man, to show off some of your singing
That would
chops?
be really funny to see Sportsmaster sing. It would be like it would be like death metal.
Before I kill you, I'm gonna rock you, man.
You know, I hope that Stargirl runs long enough that they get to a point where they're like, I guess we got to do a musical episode now. I don't think Stargirl is the kind of show that would do that. It's a different sort of show than The Flash. But yeah, I would always love to sing on any show. The when I was on Lost, that wasn't my voice. They had already pre-recorded that with the guy that wrote the song, and so
Mhm.
I was excited when I got the part because I was like, "Oh, cool! I get to sing in a show." And then I get to the set and we shoot it, and I was just lip syncing to the playback. I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm not singing this." And so a lot of people think that's my voice, and that doesn't sound anything like my voice.
Oh man, that's I'm sorry, that sucks, dude. I mean,
It's all
that would
right.
have been cool.
It was a long time ago. I've gotten over it.
So we got some fan questions.
All right,
Um, and once again, thank you so much for being on the Speedcast today.
my pleasure.
Our first fan question is: if you were asked by the Yankees, Rockies, or Dodgers to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at a game, which which team would you choose? Because we know that you hail from Jersey, Colorado, and you live here in LA. So where are your allegiances? Where do they lie?
Well, I'd have to say the Rockies because that's where I grew up. I grew up. That was an expansion team that was formed when I was living in Colorado. So I'm not a baseball fan really, but I would get to take a trip to Colorado with my family, which my kids haven't seen Colorado. So I would have to say Rockies. Interesting question.
Nice. Uh, the next question is: will you and your wife, Tigress, tell your daughter Artemis that you are members of the ISA, and are you going to recruit her?
I can't really answer that. Sorry.
Remember, guys,
I would say it's definitely
NDA.
leaning that way. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to give anything that's remotely spoiler oriented.
Yeah, we got it. We got it. Once again, guys, we got it. We got it. You know, Neil does sign a NDA, so we can't.
Warner Brothers will come to my house and break my legs
With
with
a
a
bat.
bat from the show.
No way. Our next question is: if you do recruit Artemis, once again, you're probably not going to be able to answer
Yeah.
this
I
question.
mean, it's obvious that she's Artemis. So, I mean, you can read between the lines.
Yeah, it's if you do recruit her and she does decide to join you, do you look forward to doing a fight scene together? How would something like that look like in your eyes?
Well, it would look amazing because we had the greatest stunt team in the world. I mean, those guys are incredible. Walter Garcia is the stunt coordinator on there. My stunt double, Paul O'Connor, was just awesome. So I know whatever it would be over the top and incredible. So yeah, of course, I would love that.
And kudos to those guys because that stunt work, man,
It was
wow,
amazing. It's
incredible.
some of the best stunt work I've ever seen.
That scene where you punch Pat and he flies to the back of the wall there. I mean, that had to be painful, dude. That had to be painful.
Yeah, well, the Ben Aykroyd, the stunt double for Luke and for Hourman, he was the guy that flew into the wall. He got injured later, and I was telling Neil this when we were live chatting the other day, but he got injured pretty bad on that when I throw him over the tires, you know.
Yeah.
The wires, his ankle got wrapped in the wire, you know, and he was supposed to land like flat on his back, which would still really hurt, but he landed on his head.
Oh,
So he flew up 10 feet and landed right on his head, and he got knocked unconscious, and it was gnarly. He got a bad concussion, but he, you know, gets up like 10 minutes later and he's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. That's what they all do. So it was dangerous stuff. I mean, they were really going for it, and those guys get hurt. They get hurt, and they don't admit it, but like they get hurt.
wow, that's incredible, man. Those guys, I mean, the stuff they go through, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the concussions that these guys go through and to pick themselves right back up, I mean, that's just incredible, man. And kudos to those guys, because without those guys, I mean, let's be honest, when it's CGI, you can tell it's
Yeah,
CGI,
totally.
but
Yeah.
when you do it in front of the camera, it's just incredible.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think we were very blessed to. I mean, obviously that was part of Jeff's vision, is he wanted this to just be like a movie, you know,
yeah,
and so he hired this team that they worked on the Marvel movies. They worked on Avengers. These guys are like the best in the business. So it was amazing. We would come in for these. In episode 6, that hallway sequence where I run up the wall and I throw Tigress and she flies over our man and she kicks Wildcat. Like, they showed us before we did it, like they would shoot the whole it was called a previs, and put music to it and everything, and they would shoot the entire sequence in their all the stuntmen, and they would show it and it would end up looking almost exactly like it. And so they would show it to us when we first came to Atlanta, and Joy and I were just like, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. And it ended up looking better than the previs. So those guys were just awesome.
it's definitely like I said at the beginning, man. It definitely feels like a feature film, and thanks to all those guys. Speaking of that, because of the pandemic, there's been more of a light shed on on TV, on streaming. Um, I mean, and rightly so. I mean, you guys are getting the recognition that you deserve right now. And I'm not trying to discount, feature films, but I'm so happy to see that a lot of your work is now being appreciated in a sense, because the small screen, in a sense, has become the big screen.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, no, the timing of this coming out, just by happenstance, turned out to be great. Because people, by the time May rolled around, people had already watched most every streaming show on Netflix. So it was cool to have the show come out when it did. It just, and obviously it wasn't planned like that, but that's just it turned out to be, and it was just nice for me and for the rest of the cast to have something to look forward to, because this is a tough time. No doubt about it.
And we all hope that we get back to normalcy pretty soon, hopefully.
Yep.
Um, how does it feel to play a character that fans have only gotten to see in Young Justice?
Well, he wasn't just on Young Justice. He was also in Batman, the Bold and the Brave, I think, years earlier than that. I mean, I think I said earlier, it was great. It feels great to be able to originate a part and to not
Yeah.
have to worry about, doing it differently than this other actor did it, or trying to make it better or trying to top it. It was very freeing to get to originate a role.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
What was your reaction when you saw the Sportsmaster suit for the first time?
Well, I get asked this question a lot, and it's not like, I mean, when I saw the artwork of the suit for the first time, it was incredible. But the process of building the suit takes a long time. You had to do a lot of fittings. We had tons and tons of fittings. So I saw it in various stages. I like, it wasn't like I just showed up on day one and there it was, you know what I mean? I had been seeing it for 3 months. So, but it was exciting. I mean, I always loved the costume, and I think it's one of the best on the show. So yeah, it's great.
It's an awesome costume, dude.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it's cool.
It's so sick. You don't have to answer the next question because I don't want to get you in trouble with your castmates. Who's your favorite cast member to work with?
Well,
You don't have
Joy,
to.
definitely. That's an easy one because I worked with her the most and we hit it off immediately. And we're basically two sides of the same character. So, it was just always, I liked working with everybody, but Joy was like my home base. But I loved working with all of the ISA. Anytime that we had our ISA scenes, we had a blast. We had too much fun. Directors were getting annoyed with us. We were laughing too much. But it was just all around. There wasn't anybody that I worked with that was a drag. Everybody was a lot of fun.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
How did it feel to beat the crap out of the Godfather from old school?
I was gonna say a bomber from the Royal Tenenbaums, but yeah, it was great. I mean, it was fun. It was a fun scene to shoot. It's always fun shooting with Luke because he always likes to add stuff to make it more Luke Wilson-y, and so it creates this it creates an openness where like he would throw out an idea and I was like, oh, what if we do this? What if we do this? And so we sort of would always add little things here and there and make it feel more alive. And yeah, so it was great. That scene was a lot of fun to shoot. Although I'll tell you, it was about 100 degrees outside. We were shooting in August in Georgia, and we were in the pit stop, which is an actual set, and not a set. It's an actual garage in Dallas, Georgia. So it was like a hot box. It was just sweltering in there, and we were in there all day long for hours and hours and hours shooting that scene. And the only time they could put on the air was between takes when the sound wasn't rolling because it makes a lot of noise. And oh my God, I mean, it was brutal, but it was fun. I like doing action stuff, especially when I know it's going to be cool. And it was awesome.
That's awesome, dude. The humidity out there must just, I can't.
Yeah,
even
it was tough. I'm not a fan of hot and humid.
I love our dry heat out here, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Your kids would definitely geek out if you did a crossover with the Flash, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
Or Arrow.
Of course. Yeah, definitely. That would be awesome. God willing, something like that could happen.
I forgot to mention at the beginning, congratulations on season 2.
Thank you.
You know, the work that you guys have put in, all this hard work has paid off. And I'm very happy for the entire casting crew. Kudos to everybody.
Thanks, man.
You deserve it, dude. You deserve it. And I'm looking forward to seeing more work from you. More, hopefully more Sportsmaster. Like I said, he always, no spoilers, but he's known for faking his death. No spoilers, but he's very famous for faking his death. So, I'm hoping and praying and that you get a spinoff of some sort. If possible. So I just want to thank you.
Well, put it out there, man. This is a world where the fans have a lot of influence. So, start a campaign.
I will be your hype man, dude. I will be your hype man. If I'll put as much as I can on my Instagram. I'll be your hype man because you guys have been totally kicking ass. Like I said,
thank you.
And I truly, truly, truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do my Speedcast. It's been an honor and a privilege, and thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say to your fans?
I really appreciate you, and it's been a lot of fun developing a fan base around this character, and it's very gratifying to see people like our characters, and yeah, man, I love it. I love all the fan videos. I love the fan art. I love all that stuff. I can't wait to see the cosplay stuff. So. It's great. The fans are the best.
Dude, I can't wait to see you at a con, man.
Yeah, man. When life gets back to normal, I'll be there.
Yeah, I usually go to LA Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con. Those are my 2 local cons. So I definitely can't wait to see you. I wish you nothing but the best of luck and much health to your entire family. And I hope you guys stay safe during this pandemic. And thank you so much. There you have it, folks. The one and only, the multi-talented Neil Hopkins. He is the man. He is the man. A total badass. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. You guys have a very enjoyable rest of your day. Everyone be safe out there. Please wear a mask. Neil, you take care. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julio. Appreciate it. Have a good weekend, man.
You too, man. Take care.
Take care.